At that time, did I truly even know Rajni sir's name? That this man just walked onto screen and shaped my dreams. Someone like Rajni sir in his 70s attract young audiences for Jailer. Why did the same happen with Kamal sir on Vikram? So I think it's not so much about old and young as much as feeling with the zeitgeist, with the time.
Right.
No definition of the word Dacoit or Dacoit is there a black band or a horse. Magnificent Seven kind of atmosphere. Heat, rock, guns, bombs, blood, fire. But imagine a beautiful, soulful love story set amidst that. I think she's the soul of the film. I think she has an empathy in her eyes. The moment you see her, like, you have that feeling towards the man. Like, you just kind of melt. Like in Bahubali, when the king is walking in, everyone's like, na, you're giving one build up. Same thing for your audio visuals whenever you have a pre-release event, like the voice that comes in, Adivi Sesh. I'm like, oh my God, like.
How do you rate yourself as an actor?
I think I'm a decent actor. I think I'm a good writer. I think I'm an extremely good editor. I'm a terrible director.
Mritu towels from Ramraj, premium cotton and bamboo towels. Super soft, super absorbent.
Darling AC Tiruvizha, இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் AC.
Let's go holidays. Travel beyond boundaries.
Hello, Adivi Sesh, Garu.
Don't
laugh. Don't I look menacing? Aren't you scared for your life?
You did tell me that you're planning on replacing a lot of Telugu heroes. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. Is that what I'm doing right now?
Yes.
But am I scary right now?
Not with a plastic gun, no.
But like, this could be a real gun.
Not really.
It's not, it's a prop.
It would be too heavy for you to wave around like that.
Seriously?
Yeah, I would.
Is that what a real gun is? It's too heavy to wave around?
Yeah.
And why is this like fake currency? What are we doing with this?
That's not fake. That's real money. But
this real money?
It's no longer used
from the Manoranjan Bank of India?
Yeah. It's from the Monopoly.
It's from Monopoly money?
Bank of India.
Right. So, I'm going to give you two choices.
Between plastic and paper?
No, I'm going to give you two choices. India's smartest action hero or Telugu cinema's James Bond. These are the two things you were described recently.
I was? I'm trying to be like the greatest lover we have with this movie. So I don't know if I...
Lover?
Lover, yeah, it's a love story.
What is the set? What is all this?
That's the thing. In the movie, it's like Mrunal and I imagine a hail of bullets.
Right.
That sort of Magnificent Seven kind of atmosphere. Heat, rock, guns, bombs, blood, fire, train tracks. Everything a cowboy film is without the hats.
Okay.
But imagine a beautiful, soulful love story set amidst that.
Are you going to ride a horse?
No.
Are you going to wear a black band on your forehead?
As I said to you earlier, in no definition of the word Dacoit or Dacoit is there a black band or a horse.
Are you filming in the Chambal Valley?
No, actually, but we are in the badlands of sort of the Andhra-Karnataka border where it can be very arid depending on where we are.
Okay.
And we also shot sort of in a lot of dry areas like Satara of Maharashtra.
Nice.
We did Bellary, Hampi, So there's a lot of rock and rough terrain.
How did this director come into this project?
He's my best friend.
Okay. That's all there is to it?
Do you need more than that to do a film? I don't know.
Is this like some kind of nepotism? Like, I know you, I can become a director?
No. I think what happened was he was the DOP of Kshanam and Gudachari. And he was always the third umpire whenever me and the director would have a discussion. We couldn't decide. He would always be the one who said, I like this, but this is a better thing.
Right.
So he always had that knack. And during Kshanam, I found out that he directed a short film and he didn't tell me.
Okay.
And it went and got selected at the Cannes Film Festival. And he told me after he got selected, which was shocking. And some German company bought his short film for €100,000 to develop into a feature. I'm like, okay, so this guy is not just a DOP. And what's great about him is the maturity Shanil had. He said, I'm not ready yet. Whenever I'd ask him to direct, you know, like it would remind me of when Rajmouli sir says, I'm not ready for Mahabharata yet, you know. So it's almost like this wisdom that Shanil innately had. And one day he just got up and said, I think I'm ready.
Would you say you have a good gut feel for people?
No. I have a good gut feel for ideas.
Okay.
And I think I've been a terrible judge of character and a terrible judge of people. But my sense of an idea and its potential is quite strong.
Okay. Now, the reason I ask is, you know, there are many people that can give ideas during a movie, but to say that, to be able to see that such a person can translate from an idea giver or being an umpire, as you call him, to actually directing a movie, that's a big jump. To be able to see that somebody can take that jump is, I'm thinking that and this is an expensive film.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so
It's a 75 crore film,
yeah, and it's a bilingual.
It's bilingual.
Yeah.
See, there's a couple of things here. One, he was not just a guy giving ideas, he was the cinematographer of the two films. So in many ways, he was the director's eye. And he would often suggest the pacing of a scene to our director. And in addition to that, I think we have similar taste in what we like about cinema. We both love Alexander Payne as a director, and Descendants is a favorite for both of us.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, and I thought, and he, you know, he's Fijian. So he's Indian but Fijian. So their family was taken to Fiji like 300-400 years ago.
Okay.
And so he has this sort of interesting mix at home of Bhojpuri, Telugu, Tamil and Kashmiri. It was just like a very interesting mix. They'd be like, Muruku khayega, you know.
Yeah.
So I just thought somebody who has that sense of Hindi, heartland, Bhojpuri as a culture, and somebody like me who's Telugu as a culture, we should make that bilingual because, you know, and all of it sort of wrapped in this sense of American technique because he learned his cinema from the States. So it's a very Indian story, but an American look at it, I feel.
I say this with the greatest respect, but I don't think you are Telugu in that sense that I think what sets you apart is that, yes, you know the language and you know the culture and you know the audience and you know the people, but the sensibility that you have is also a very interesting left field sensibility. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you're not a hardcore Telugu sensibility. And again, I'm not saying this is better, that is better.
It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm Telugu as a culturally.
Yeah.
And I'm Telugu in my heart, but I'm a Telugu person who spent half my life in the States.
Yeah.
And I also, in the first 10 years of my life, I was in Chennai, you know, Padma Seshadri, T Nagar. I was in Visakhapatnam. I was in London. I was in North Africa. So I think I'm the sum total of my experiences. And from each place, there's a little piece of me that has shaped me. So in my taste, whether it's my love for Moroccan music versus, you know, me loving, you know, some of the pure Italian food in California that was vegetarian, or, you know, me rushing to Sarvana Bhavan every time I go to Chennai, like the original location, you know, or me going to Rishikonda, you know, when I go to Vizag, I mean, before that, broke the Konda, now it's Rishiko. But, you know, just, I think I'm the sum total of my experiences, and that reflects in my ideas, I think.
Probably patient, because the last time you've seen on screens, and I'm not counting the cameo on Hit 3, was in Major and Hit 2, which were both in 2022.
Yes.
So that's like close to 4 years of not having a
Three and change.
3.5.
Yeah. You know, I think it wasn't intentional. I ended up writing both the films, which took a good year and 8 months, because it usually takes me about 8-9 months to write a script. And just, I thought if I'm writing both together, maybe I'll be more productive and expedited. But what ended up happening was it just took double the time. So instead of 8 or 9 months, it took 16 to 18 months. So that, and then I made this movie for a couple of years after that, which is actually very normal for how
Big scale movie.
or what it's taken me for Major or what it's taken me for Gudachari. You know, it's just Major. People thought it was a pandemic, but I've always taken this long, and I feel secure in that idea because you're just letting the idea marinate and you're trying to do your best for the film rather than do multiple films as quick as you can.
Right.
Despite the monopoly money on set, I don't really love money, so it's not a driving factor like where I'll sign projects and or that insecurity that some people might have, which is I need to be on screen 2 or 3 times a year, and or else people will forget me, that sort of thing.
I saw an interesting interview of yours recently where you said that a lightman works probably much harder than an actor does, but gets paid much less simply because the perception of the worth of the lightman or what he does is less than that of the actor who actually pulls people onto the sets or into theaters. And I'm bringing this up because of the money aspect of it. How do you make out the system in terms of money?
See, just to add to it a little bit, I don't think it's the perception of the worth, but how many people can a lightman bring to the theater?
Right.
It's literally that.
Yeah.
So it's not that person's worth or the worth of their work, which is very important for a film, but who are you looking at before you put your 200 rupees or 100 rupees or 50 rupees down to watch this movie? So whoever can draw people into that ends up getting paid more.
Right.
And it usually happens to be the actor.
It is almost always the actor.
Sometimes it can be
the director.
Yeah, sometimes the director, and sometimes there's sort of a banner's reputation where from the producer of boom, 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 and you're like, okay, వాళ్ళ సినిమా అంటే డెఫినెట్గా ఒకటి బాగుంటుంది. There's like a banner value also.
I don't think that's happened in a long time actually. Of late, it's mostly
it's a classical idea.
Yeah,
It's not recent.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I think that's why I said that. But tell me about the second part of your question.
No, I was just curious because that's always been a how much do actors get paid? Is it too much? Is it like, they don't reduce their price? Because one thing of interest is, see, in normal life, it's considered rude to ask somebody, how much do you make?
But it's very common in India. No? As soon as you go into a house, ఎంత పడింది?
No, but it's common in India.
You buy a car, you're like, कितना mileage देता है?
Yeah, but this is like out there, right? So and so got paid so many crores for this film. Do you feel awkward when you see those numbers?
I do, but what I also think is there is no true worth. There's that lovely line in The Dark Knight where Michael Caine talks about the bandit who throws away rubies the size of a tangerine because he thinks they're playthings. So I just think it's about what you think is valuable. And I think something is only valuable if you attribute importance to it. That's all it is, really.
Is money important?
Not to me. Money is important as a means to live and as a means to take care of my family, maybe to secure my future. But it's not the thing I live for.
Right.
And as such, it doesn't drive my need to make a film. I have to feel it from my heart to be a part of a film. Sometimes you're put in a situation where you got to pay for something urgent, so you do a movie. But by God's grace, that's not happened to me in a long time.
So there's never a movie that you've done that you've not been convinced about?
Not recently.
Okay. The early days probably.
Yeah. The early days often.
Yeah.
Often, especially before I became a hero. And the funny thing is, it's what helped me survive, but it's also probably what delayed me from finding my calling of listening to my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but I think it's important to do what you're doing because I think different sensibilities are always needed in an industry, and sometimes what happens is there's a base level sensibility that works, and therefore that's the one that people keep building on. For example, hero walks in slow motion, this one, there's like, and because it's been proved to be a money spinner over the years, that's the thing that people want to keep doing, and it keeps going and going and going regardless of whether the formula is showing signs of fatigue or not. And then when a movie like Gudachari or something like that comes, or Jati Ratnalu or something comes along, people say new Telugu cinema or something like that. But then when the next two films don't work like that, they're like, oh, you know what, it's just like a flash in the pan. Everyone's, nobody's really sure of what's happening.
See, I think from our ancient Mahabharata times, India is a country of glorifying someone or something. Like in Bahubali, when the king is walking in, everyone's na 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 na. You're giving one build up. Same thing for your audio visuals. Whenever you have a pre-release event, like the voice that comes in, Adivi Sesh. I'm like, oh my god, and I kind of start hiding. The reason is because we tend to glorify, right? And I think we use box office numbers or number of centers, or back in the day, how many days, how many jubilee, silver jubilee, diamond jubilee, all that to glorify either a film or the hero.
Right.
So if you really look at it behind why do I need to put the number of crores for a film on a poster? It's not relevant to the film. And I've never been to a film because I saw, oh, it made 130 crores, let me go to the film. That's not what drives us. But I think we put that as a way of decoration. It's like the cherry on the cake. It's like decoration. It's not the cake itself. So what I tend to do is focus on what the cake is. And for me, it's important that my producer is safe first and foremost. That's the first thing. Because without that producer, him or her, I can't survive. But beyond that, it's only about the artistic merit of the film. Even if it is a commercial film, there is a merit to it. You wanted to entertain people, you wanted to make people laugh, or you wanted to excite people with the proper slow motion build-up shot. And did you do that well? Like one of my first early experiences of cinema was Basha in Sri Venkateshwara Theatre in Vizag. I don't know that it's a Tamil film. It's a Telugu, dubbed into Telugu. I don't know the lip sync is off. I don't know how many centers. At that time, did I truly even know Rajni sir's name? No. But what did I know? That this man just walked onto screen and shaped my dreams. And to this day, some part of me is in love with that.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with box office. So I keep trying to reach for that 5-year-old in me, that 10-year-old in me, that 20-year-old in me who was shaken by a film, whether it was Rang De Basanti or The Dark Knight or Basha or Manmathudu or whatever film that truly inspired me and moved me. I'm trying to find whatever that made me feel in the films that I'm trying to make.
So, if you ask me what the cherry on this cake of Dacoit is, why are you smiling? Why are you smiling?
I'm worried you'll pull up the gun and the fake money and show it as the cherry.
No, that's not it. But for me, it's like, I think we finally got you a name. You know how people have Rebel Star and,
right.
Like Natural Star and all that.
Yes.
You don't have anything.
Yeah.
And I think I feel an acute lack of it.
I've performatively rejected it. Not rejected. I've not paid heed to it.
I think you should be called Dancing Star.
Dance? Oh, because I dance.
Yeah.
No.
See, look how I led up to that.
But yeah, you set me up for,
I
for a
set you
trap.
up for
But
that.
see, the thing is, in a nation of Hrithik Roshans and Allu Arjuns, and you shouldn't call yourself a dancing star unless you can do that level.
Right. But what made you say, this is the first time you're doing this big ass, the formulaic dance kind of a thing, right?
Yes.
What made you say, this is something that I want in my movie? Because let me go back a little, because when I saw you in Bahubali, now that's not your typical zone of movie, or at least the ones that you've been putting out, because that's a proper old school hero villain saga, and everything is at a roaring decibel and all that kind of stuff, right? You somehow, the role was not big enough for you to kind of do anything, but somehow when I think back of that, I'm like, oh, actually it's a little difficult, a little funny also to think of Adivi Sesh in Bahubali, because that's so not his kind of movie. But then we come to Dacoit, and it looks like you're kind of breaking a few perceptions around yourself and trying to say, listen, I know this is what you think an Adivi Sesh movie is, but this is not going to be that.
Can I sound pompous for a second?
Yeah.
That's what acting is. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But I think See, it's one of those catch-22s, because if I do 2 more films where I have a very serious expression and I'm figuring out some twist, I run the risk of an audience saying, yaar, aur kitne twist dega?
Yeah.
You know, which kind of happened to sort of, when I was a kid, it happened to M. Night Shyamalan. After The Village, people were just like, dude, is the twist your only trick?
Yeah.
Before he made some other good films. But the point was, after those 3 or 4 iconic ones, that became your signature.
Yeah.
So my point was, I want to be many different signatures as an actor. And that's the whole reason. You want to make believe, you want to play. And I thought Dacoit was a film where, this is my first film after Panja, where I was a villain. I was sort of the main villain in that film, where I was just so loud and outward and explosive. I think Dacoit is my first film after Panja, after so many years, after more than a decade, where I get to be so outward. And in being outward, imagine a guy 13 years trapped in jail and he broke out of jail. What is the first thing he's going to do? And I thought he'd go ballistic. And the question became, do I want to go ballistic in sort of a raw fashion? In the way, for example, you say in Satya, Mama, Kallu Mama, they're just sitting in a room and they're dancing.
Yeah.
Or do I kind of want to make it a little glamorous? Put some beautiful lights, make it a fun song. I thought it was my only chance to do something like that, because in the room, the lights, I will have a chance to do that. But I don't have, in the ideas I write, it's very rare that I get an opportunity to actually have a reason for a song to exist. And it's actually a part of the story.
Right.
Once I've escaped. And I thought this was a lovely idea. Like, in that classical Indian way of storytelling, where you have a song, but there's some storytelling happening in the middle BGM of the song, all that stuff. So I thought, let's try. The reason I never danced before, we were speaking about childhood traumas before our interview began, had to do with something like that. It was when I was a kid, it was this aunt who came up to me and said, "You're so much taller than the other kids. Gangiredla, no, don't dance." She said that to me. So that kind of stuck in my mind, this idea that, oh, maybe I don't know how to. And I would always, whenever there's a friend's wedding, when we're in the Bharat, I'm dancing my heart out. But in my mind, no one's judging anybody then. Because you're just standing around the dhol, or you're standing next to your friend, holding his hand as he's sitting on the horse, and it's not a judgment of your performance skill. So there was this sense that that lady in my mind was always there, that I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to do it. So I thought, if Hari as a character in Dacoit is meant to be this free and this outward, let's let our hair down for a second.
So, I want to ask you this, not from a politically correct point of view, but I'm curious about what you think, because you process everything very interestingly. So, the typical argument against special song numbers like this, which used to be called item songs and then became special songs, is that the woman is being objectified. And even here, Jonita, big surprise seeing her, in the song.
She's a lovely, lovely
person. Yeah. And, there's a shot of her hips and, like a close up and all that. And this goes back to the traditional 80s, 90s kind of what is your whole take on this? Because I have also heard heroines say, I work very hard to kind of have this physique, and if I want to show it, it's my thing. So I've never, what do you think about that?
I think there's nothing wrong with a beautiful woman looking sexy. And I've always been okay with that. One of the favorite songs I've loved watching on TV was Tip Tip Barsa Pani with Ravina Tandon and Akshay Kumar. And that is the sexiest song I have ever seen. So for me, that was never like a hindrance. I think for me, I get into plausibility. Are you putting that into the film? Look, all film is manipulative, right? Because if film is not meant to be manipulative, you're not meant to have background score. You're not meant to change outfits. So film is manipulative by
fiction,
its way. So within the realm of that fiction, are you creating like a plausible reality for this to happen?
Okay.
That's where I draw my standard at. And off screen, have you truly made sure that the person doing what they do, and you, if you are also part of that scene, are you both comfortable? Have you been spoken to? Have you been informed? Because I think oftentimes some of the tough experiences become about, they didn't know it was going to happen. They just kind of got ambushed on set, and you've got 200 people standing around. You don't want to waste anybody's money and time, so you kind of just get pressurized into doing it. Whereas here, every move, every shot was discussed, rehearsed. You know, recently I'd put out the video of me and Jonita rehearsing. So it's like, she sang the song.
Yeah.
She sang the song. She danced the song. If anything, since it wasn't my voice on the song, I am probably less of an owner of the song than she is, in that sense. But at the same time, it was done with the utmost respect.
Yeah. No, I get it. These are all, you know, these are all complicated arguments, you know. So I just wanted to know what you thought.
Yeah.
But how was it dancing?
It was great. I think my only issue with it was we did 6 nights until 6 a.m., which was wonky. And, you know, like after 1 or 2, everybody from me to the lightmen were all like, huh, what? Yeah, what are we doing? So other than that, I just thought it was incredible what Pawan Singh ji did. I thought it was incredible what Jonita did. Pawan Singh ji came for one of those nights, and he just kind of brought this elemental swag and presence to the song. And I'm telling you, the energy on the set went up.
So sweet to hear him speak Telugu.
Yeah.
Why did you go after him?
I've danced on his songs at weddings.
So somebody you had in mind.
Yeah, and I mean, when we first heard the song, we were like, this has a heartland flavor. The song has a heartland flavor. And the sounds, we were like, one discussion Shanil and I had was, yaar, ye gana Hindi gana lag raha hai, sunne mein, but it's for a Telugu movie. And Shanil is like, bhai, we're also making a Hindi movie. You've got 2 beautiful love songs that are probably a little more Telugu in their soul. Why not have this that's a little more in its soul? So we brought in Pawan Singh, and he elevated the set. It was so beautiful and kind of cute to hear that he was super nervous. Like, I'm in a lungi, I'm singing a couple of lines in Telugu. Am I going to do right? Am I going to get ridiculed? Like, that was his own fear. And at the same time, we were nervous. We were like, will we make a song that's worth his time? This is a man who casually puts out videos with 400, 500 million views. Casually.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, and Jonita, I was just extremely surprised by how hardworking she is, because I'm the hardest worker on my set usually. Very, very few people can outwork me. And she did. And the last day, this was it. It was our last day of shoot. We had a rap event in a few hours, and we were still shooting. And it was becoming daylight, and we were putting a black cloth to hide daylight for a night song. Her crew had to go. Their flights were missing. Last 2 hours, her crew is gone. She doesn't even have someone to hold up a mirror. And she's still dancing. She's like, you want to try this? You want to try this? You want to try this? And I was just like, you know, this woman's work ethic and what she brings to the table is extraordinary. She's the first time that I've met a performer where I was like, whoa, she made the song more important than herself, which was quite beautiful.
Quite amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me about this very interesting casting, which includes Anurag and Anurag Kashyap, of course, and Mrunal Thakur.
I think Mrunal, I've said this before, but I mean it. I think she's the soul of the film. I think she has an empathy in her eyes. The moment you see her, like, Papam, you know, you have that feeling towards Mrunal, like, you just kind of melt. And I think that's what's beautiful about just the qualities, the kind of way she'll bring out an expression. So when you give her a soulful character, it just ends up blooming on camera. And we need a counterbalance to that. Somebody who is menacing, somebody who is very rough around the edges, somebody who moves like a bear. And we thought Anurag sir would be the perfect idea for that. Now the funny part is, I'm proud of the fact that as a writer, I wrote roles that put them in situations that are nothing like what I've just told you.
Okay.
So are they truly that? You have to watch in the film, because I love playing with people's expectations. I did that in Kshanam, where I took comedian Satyam Rajesh Garu and I made him a strict cop, and he's like that honest cop who gives those one-liners. You know, he's like Mark Wahlberg in The Departed. So I loved playing with people's expectations of Anurag Kashyap garu in this movie and Mrunal in this movie.
Mrunal was fantastic in Jersey. I think that was probably the first time I noticed her in a performance-oriented role, and she's very good at that movie.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah,
She's
you have her name out there before yours on the poster.
I didn't realize it until she told me.
Yeah.
I mean, look, to be very honest, there's no doubt that my name's center of the poster, so it's not like but I just thought we'd read Telugu, Hindi, English left to right. And it made sense to put her name there. And it wasn't a conscious decision, but rather an emotional decision that just happened. I didn't consciously plan it, but before we put out a poster, we'll run it by the actors to make sure that they're okay with how they look in it. And she saw it, and that's the first thing she noticed. So until Mrunal told me, we didn't realize it.
Okay. When you write a film, how much of a temptation is it to own the film on the sets because you've written? Now, normally what happens is if there's another writer or if the director is a writer, then they're controlling the whole thing. But here, the actor is the writer. How do you feel sometimes, supposing a performance is kind of not going where you want, but if the director kind of says, it's okay, does the writer in you says, but that's not how I saw it? Does that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
We fight cats and dogs. But I think it comes from what you discussed beforehand. I think there's a lot of chaos on our sets, just how I've approached Major, how I've approached Gudachari. It's extremely chaotic. But I think what's beautiful is nobody doubts the intention. See, I saw an actor and I didn't think they gave the right performance, or I didn't give the right performance. I go up to Shanil and I say, bhai, jam nahi raha yaar. And if he says, nahi yaar, mujhe jama, I make it my business to say, but kyun nahi jama karke, and I'll explain why I feel what I feel. The decision is still his.
Yeah. So if he feels the performance work, it works.
Yes, but I will say enough to say, can I at least try one more? Can I give you this? Just take a look.
Right.
And at least 50% of the time, when I tried something else, he did see the merit in that, and suddenly he had two beautiful options to pick from.
Right.
So if he knows that I'm only trying to do it for the character and for the film and not because of my vanity, your intentions matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the understanding between him and I was beautiful.
How do you rate yourself as an actor?
I think I'm a decent actor. I think I'm a good writer. I think I'm an extremely good editor. I'm a terrible director.
You do want to direct films?
I did, right? My first film, Karma.
Yeah.
But I think what I realized is direction, oftentimes, it doesn't have to be about you feeling the emotion of that scene, but rather you having the tools to make the audience feel the emotion of that scene. And I'm so emotional on set and so passionate and so fiery that I'm the one feeling it. And I'm not necessarily conscious of whether that's translating and whether, So I don't think inherently, like, my system is not built to direct, I think.
Do you think you're too zen for that?
On the contrary, I'm too
Volatile.
volatile. Yeah.
Okay.
Too volatile. I'm zen when I'm not shooting, like right now.
Okay.
I feel zero pressure. I'm zen on stage. I'm zen everywhere else. Unless I have like a particular speech that I'm nervous about, like when I had to speak about Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan sir for the first time, I was nervous then. Unless it's a specific situation like that, I'm very zen.
Why were you nervous?
A man that I truly loved, that I was a fan of, who I worshipped, and I'm representing him and walking out to the world for the first time, talking about him in a teaser launch in the middle of COVID was quite nerve-wracking for me.
Right.
So unless it's a specific context like that, I don't get shaken. But on set, I'm the most anxious person. I'm like that cat that's jumping everywhere.
Do you see yourself as having been accepted as part of the Telugu film industry, or are they like, you're this guy on the periphery, on the border that's doing something interesting?
I don't know. I think it's, I never really thought about it. I thought it was interesting recently when somebody had pitched me a film, a new kid, and I said, I don't like it. And, he didn't take that very well.
Okay.
So in saying so, one of the parting shots he took at me was, Meekentanna, you guys are all in the business. You're mammal tokkestunar. I'm like, when did I become the tokking force?
Yeah.
Mammal tokkedam entra. So it was interesting to think of myself as the underdog in my head my whole life, but you get told by different people that they are fans of your work, or that they love you, or that they've tattooed your name or your face on their hands and legs. And right here, in fact, we were sitting when one fan flew from Japan for the original, and she booked her tickets for the original March 19th release. So she was here, and she visited the locations of my last 5 films as her India trip. Okay, well, there's something that I'm doing right. I wonder, yeah.
Is that a little scary though?
It makes me feel more responsible.
Okay.
Like, yo, you can't FAFO,
Yeah. You need to be.
Yeah, it's responsibility.
Yeah.
It's credibility. There's a lovely line in American Gangster, Denzel Washington said, Blue Magic, it's a brand name, like Pepsi. So I just feel like it is getting into a situation where maybe there's a certain people who truly believe in me. And I'm seeing it when the moment we announce a film, when an OTT company comes to buy the film immediately, or when overseas gets sold immediately. Everything for this and my next film have been sold out. And okay, the trade believes in you, the audiences believe in you. So work harder. Make sure you really, it's not about surpassing expectations, but living up to what they expect of you.
Right. Would you say that this and Gurachari 2, Dacoit and Gurachari 2, they're kind of a slightly massy and a classy set of movies from you?
Gurachari is extremely massy, I feel. It had lines like Inca, it's a very, Gurachari is a massy film disguised in classy making.
Yeah.
It's like Amirpet mass.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I'm using these terms loosely. You know what I mean though. Yeah.
I feel Gurachari is very massy.
Yeah.
It's got a heroine, it's got a twist, the heroine betrays the hero, he gets hurt in love, hero thinks about his dad. It's like as massy as it gets. We just don't present it like that. And the same is true for Dacoit. I think Dacoit's my most emotionally potent film.
Yeah?
Yeah. I randomly said this line one day and I love saying it. Dacoit's high on emotions and Gurachari is high on excitement.
Okay. That's the caption.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that when we wrapped Dacoit and we did that press meet that day, I actually ended up saying, I think of Dacoit as like gems or M&Ms, where the love story is the chocolate and the hard shell is the action, really. So most of it is actually the love story. It's just told in the rhythm of an action film.
Right. When two movies come close to each other, is that a danger? Is that a...
No, G2 will be the end of the year. It won't be now. I still have 40% of the film left to shoot.
Oh, I thought it was the middle of the year, so it's not okay.
No, it was originally, but my PCL got injured.
Okay.
I tore my PCL, and that moved everything by 3-4 months.
Okay.
And fortunately, we'd finished the action bits of Dacoit, but we hadn't finished a lot of the action in G2 yet.
Okay.
So I ended up being able to wrap Dacoit, but I still have to shoot for G2. Due to my injury, I couldn't.
Oh, you can do that. So I read this thing about you where you were rereading the Matthew McConaughey book, Green Lights.
Green Lights, yeah.
What is that about that book that draws so many people to it?
2 or 3 books a week when I was a kid. And suddenly, after I came into the movie business, I completely stopped reading. And in the pandemic, I got stuck in the States due to passport issues for several months. And I had nothing to do. So I suddenly started reading 2-3 books a week again. And it felt like I never stopped. And for whatever reason, I would keep revisiting Green Lights every week. Everything from McConaughey's Australia experiences to what it was like to find that dog on his travels. And just his way of looking at life it gave me something to aspire to. And I think it's so dreamlike, sometimes I wonder if it's even true. It's like what it might be for young teenagers who watch that love story, like, love one tell undal, So for me, Green Lights is that, yeah.
So the reason I ask, I read it, somebody gave it to me, and it's full of lines like, life is not a popularity contest, or there's no light without shadows.
Yeah. I mean, McConaughey throws that like once every 5 minutes when you see his interviews.
Yeah, but when I just feel that sometimes we, I'm not talking about generationally, I think across the board because of the gram and all that kind of stuff, I think we are getting a little too led away by punchy lines that sound kind of philosophical, but then they're pretty,
Hollow?
hollow.
I didn't
Or
find.
obvious, is more than hollow, obvious.
See, it's interesting. I've probably read Green Lights 5 or 6 times, and I don't remember the lines as much as his experiences.
Okay.
So until you told me, I didn't remember that line. I remember his experience with his dad, and when he told his father for the first time that he wanted to be an actor, and So I feel like, on the contrary, for me, the soul of it is what stuck.
What stuck with you? Okay.
Yeah.
What are you as an actor? Do you look at yourself as a part of the project as a whole, or if tomorrow you got a really good role and it's something that you really, really wanted to do, but if the rest of it didn't quite fit, would you still do it?
I think it really depends on the film. I think when I came on board Hit 2, I realized that there's a franchise that's bigger than me, that has other lead actors, but I'm the representative of this film.
Yeah.
So so I really think it's based on what that particular project is.
Okay.
And I think oftentimes people have told me, oh, Gudachari franchise should be like a multiverse, because that was in fashion a year ago. And in my head, I'm like, no, he's like Ethan Hunt. Like, he's going to have his own series. This isn't like 8 different superheroes coming together. This is not that. So in my head, Gudachari was always a one-man's story.
Right.
Or Dacoit in my head was always a single film. So I just think it depends on what feels right in the art of it. You have to listen to the art. It speaks to you.
Is there the possibility of an extension?
For Dacoit, I thought it would be amazing to have a spin-off for Swami, Anurag Kashyap sir's character. I think it would be quite amazing. And Janaki, played by Zain.
Okay.
She plays a cop in the film. I think their story felt very interesting, and I only had so much room to explore that dynamic in a feature film.
Right.
So it'd be lovely to explore that as a series, or maybe a different film.
Why not then do Dacoit as an OTT show?
Because
across 8 episodes or something like that, where you could really get into detail.
Because I believe in the big screen. Like, I think it's the reason I wanted to become an actor. I respect the OTT medium because you get the opportunity to tell stories that you would have not been able to due to commercial considerations for the big screen. But can you imagine Interstellar on a laptop?
But don't many people have big screen TVs at home?
Do they?
The target audience, I mean, obviously I'm not talking about everyone, but
I don't think so, man. I think there's 3 different Indias. You've got your rural India, you've got your town India, and you've got that maybe 100 million, 150 million people, like 10 crore people out of 140, 150 crore people who live on par with the Americans.
right.
But other than that, the other 130 crore people, no, they aren't living that life.
Okay.
They're not living that iPhone 18, 17 life. So no, I don't think so. And I still think cinema as a community experience, again, Sri Venkateshwara Theatre, watching Rajni sir, or watching Hello Brother and Kannupetta Row for the first time, which became sort of the Dacoit teaser soundtrack. Those wouldn't have happened had I just seen it on my own at home.
Yeah.
It comes from this shared community experience. Like, I loved Jatiratnalu in the theatre.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it so much more in the theatre than I did when I saw it again on my own.
I made my peace with the, whatever you call it, smaller screen or whatever it is, for 2 reasons. One is, it's just physically impossible to watch everything on the big screen, time constraints, whatever. But the second thing is also, ultimately, everything does end up on the smaller screen because there's a very limited theatrical run. Even if it's a good theatrical run, you're probably talking 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. After that, it does end up on OTT or what is it, Telegram, torrent, or however people consume things.
Great. Are you watching stuff on Telegram, torrent?
What is
Baradwaj
Telegram?
Rangan?
I don't know. Somebody said that there was something called Telegram, and I said, "Oh, okay, interesting." Isn't that what people sent each other in the
No,
old days?
Telegram's a messaging service. Like
Oh, it is?
WhatsApp.
Okay, all right.
But it's end-to-end encrypted. Yeah.
So, no, but I know, but
Is this a clickbait headline? Baradwaj Rangan watches piracy on Telegram.
no, I don't. I don't. No, but by the way, somebody said, Anurag, I think, said that he was very happy that piracy existed because that way a lot of people could see his films.
That's true. He's had a very unique journey.
Yeah.
Too many films stuck at the censors, or too many films that didn't get the support they needed when they released, for sure. So I think, yeah, in his journey it made sense. But for me, the big screen made me everything I am. Post-COVID, you know, the big talk in the industry, even in Hollywood, was like, nobody goes to theaters anymore. I had my biggest theatrical successes after that. So I didn't even know what they were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's also right now I forget the name of the film, but the Ryan Gosling space
Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah, that's doing so well. But again, that's a movie designed for the
Yeah,
the
and
big screen.
sometimes
So,
it doesn't have to be like an Interstellar, Project Hail Mary. It can just be a funny comedy about two guys. But when you're in a big room with 500 people laughing, it just feels so much better.
Yeah,
So
I know. What was it like interacting with Anurag Kashyap? You'd met him before?
not before this film. I mean, I can't remember if I'd run into him at events, but I didn't know him. What I realized was he's the most unfiltered person I've ever met. And that's the thing, right? You have an armor most times that protect all your thoughts from going out. And therefore, what ends up happening is people don't necessarily judge you because you've made sure you've made it correct enough so that they're not offended. And what is so beautiful about him is he's truly the most honest person I've ever met. And that makes him amazing because that means that he's like that 5-year-old who told you something so brutally honest and you have to live with that. And that was great as a metric for Dacoit because he would tell us exactly what something made him feel.
In the writing and other things.
Writing, song, scene, edit, every time he saw something. And if he liked it, he liked it. If he didn't, he didn't. And that really pushed us to work hard and make something much better than it would have been.
Okay.
Plus, add to that, you have India's best Hindi dialogue writer on set for free because he's playing a role.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd run, sometimes we just sneak a scene to him saying, sir, इसमें आप नहीं है, लेकिन आप ऐसे देखिए कुछ, मतलब कुछ लगा तो. And then he'd be like, ये दोनों कुछ ऐसा हो तो अच्छा रहेगा. I think it's also beautiful that he's so humble. He doesn't, for him, a film being told in Singhala is the same as a film being told in Hindi, is the same as a film being told in French. So for him, there's no language superiority, there's no cultural superiority. Does the film touch my heart, yes or no? Or does it do whatever it aspires to do? You know, I thought that was quite beautiful, just to have that kind of a person on set.
But did you also have intense film conversations? Because you're this film geek, right? So
I'm not really. I'm your simple popcorn watcher.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a geek. I only remember the films that are memorable for me. That makes me sound like I know about it a lot, but I don't.
Okay.
No, he's truly a film geek. Like when you go into his projection room and you see the rows and rows and rows and rows and library DVDs, and that's something else.
When you told me he had moved from Bombay to Bangalore,
Bengaluru, yeah.
my first thought was, how did you manage to get all those DVDs?
I don't think he did. I think they're still there.
I think still. I mean, I just was thinking, you know, because when I went there, there was this entire wall, and it looked like a DVD library times 10.
Yes.
You know, do you remember the DVD libraries where you used to go and...
I was there recently.
Yeah.
And it's getting more. There was this one experience that happened. We were shooting in a Mandua house. We were sitting outside. Somebody showed up. Sir, nen gurtunnana, he said in Telugu. And the moment he said, yeah. And suddenly he looks at me and says, yeah, I met him 7-8 years ago. What are you up to? And that guy said, sir, I'm just trying to be an AD on your films if possible. And he looks at his assistant and goes, book him a ticket. Will you come tomorrow? You can stay here and here. I'll arrange a living place for you and you can work for me. I'm like, wait, what just happened? He just made somebody's life. And he even think of it. He only looked at it from a place of art. So that's been my experience with Anurag.
Did you ask him what made him think that that person would make a good AD?
No, they had a prior connection from 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But the fact that he was able to just, there's no diplomacy. What are the stories we hear? I had to stand outside his office for 2 years before the director finally said, "Why are you coming here?" And I said, "I want to be your assistant." And finally, that's what we hear growing up. And I'm seeing something absolutely democratic and beautiful on the other side.
So the word, if you ask the people on the street, you kind of get the idea that the Telugu film industry is still kind of a gated community. Is that still, what do you think?
All powerful industries in any arena, in any country are gated community.
Everything.
Everything. Manufacturing, weapons, textiles, film. In fact, film is a much smaller industry compared to, the big stuff. Mining.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really, if you do not belong to the industry and if you do not get a chance or 2 or 3, depending on your cloud, it's going to be really, it's just a game of luck.
It always was, right? I mean, I think the misconception is that people think there's somebody who's powerful sitting there with a big stomach trying to step on you. They're not. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing. It's the fact that nobody cares for this new person's hopes and dreams that makes them feel rejected.
Right.
But it's not some big person crushing you. It's that big person with their own worries and their own anxieties and their own tensions, managing their own empire.
Right.
That they're worried about. They're like, dude, leave me alone. I need to do my thing. So I don't think people realize that. And when we come into the business from outside, we think that it's about us. Nobody cares. Nobody has the time. And speaking of Instagram quotes, this one really stuck with me. People think about you a lot lesser than you think they do.
Yeah. It's actually we that obsess about ourselves a little more.
In their opinion.
Yeah.
Like we're thinking, what does that person think?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. But as an actor, does that make you feel good or bad? You want to be remembered by a lot of people, right?
We are, but I mean, I think Supriya Garu was telling me that, one of the 2 eyes of the Telugu industry is A.N.R. Garu. He's inspired generations and generations, and for decades, people every Sunday swarmed his house, much like what you see for Big B today or Shah Rukh Khan. That was his life. And she said, what about the average 15-year-old today? What does he know about A.N.R.? When she said that, that really struck me like a bolt of lightning. Like, true. He's one of the reasons that the Telugu film industry even got set up in Hyderabad. And what does a 15-year-old know? So I think any sense of I want to be thought of and remembered, eventually the pages of history, right?
Yeah. It's exactly the lesson that I learned when when I started teaching film, and one of the students got up and said, "Are you going to go show us black and white movies?" So I said, "Wait, like what?" I was going to show them black and white movies, sir, because I'm very interested in film history. So I'm like, "Oh, you're all celebrating this movie, but look where it came from." Is my
Point.
That's my thing. That's my bag. So I'm like, that's what I was trying to say. But then I did have clips from the usual grapes of Roth and Citizen Kane and Guru Datta, this and that and all that, just to show.
Can I tell you a funny thing on this?
Can I just finish this? Then I had the greatest realization that if I was going to take these people back to then, I'd have to start from the most recent and then go back, rather than start from the past and then come to the present, because by the time you're on to the 3rd movie, they're asleep. They don't have the time or the mental bandwidth to appreciate the pacing or for them, black and white is a turn off. If it's done maybe by Christopher Nolan, they'll probably watch it because there's a name associated with it, but otherwise.
And it's still black and white in a modern sense.
In a modern sense. So that silky old black and white thing is just a turn off for them. So yeah, you were going to say something.
Somebody pitched me a rom-com. This was a few years ago. And I was like, I don't like it. It's kind of old school. What's giving a flower and all that? That doesn't work. Think of something like Hum Tum. Have you seen it? It's a fun contemporary. Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah. And he goes, sorry, sir, I don't watch old movies. the guy spoke of Hum Tum as an old movie, and suddenly I was like, oh shit, yeah, it's been more than 20 years.
Yeah.
So Hum Tum kya hua? So I mean,
This is another Instagram thing which says that it's strange when somebody says 20 years ago you're thinking about oh it's like the mid sometime in the 2000s and it's actually some 1996 or something like that, so
or enough time has passed between the Cold War and 2000 as has happened from then till now. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, these experiences like this have taught me that I'm not really into educating anybody. I think at the end of the day, we're all storytellers sitting around a fire. There was storytelling before cinema. And at the end of the day, that's all we really are. We're just storytellers sitting around a fire. And it's one of us saying, hey, Kadavintava, and just telling a story.
But again, speaking of the younger audience, they do make up a large portion of the film going audience today, right?
Of my audiences, especially.
Yeah. So older audiences will come down to this, whatever you're saying, for younger audiences. And it's like the younger audiences have a trouble getting into a more that kind of a zone, they're very particular about what they watch and what they don't watch. So when you're writing a good Acharya, when you're writing a Dacoit, what is it? Because you did say that it's about the audiences as well, you have to keep them in mind.
Always. For me, it starts with them.
So how do you have that touch?
I think it's about feeling contemporary, why does someone like Rajni sir in his 70s attract young audiences for Jailer? Or why did the same happen with Kamal sir on Vikram?
Yeah.
So I think it's not so much about old and young as much as feeling with the zeitgeist, with the times.
Right.
And I think any story, you have to tell it according to the times. Right. Like I was just recently telling my mom, Amma, all my high school clothes, had I not thrown them out, they are completely in fashion today. Because when I went to high school, 2000, 2001, 2002, baggy jeans, big, large hip-hop t-shirts, and big chains. And that's exactly what's in vogue today. And I'm like, this is how I used to dress. And then in 2010, if you dressed that way, you'd get ridiculed. You had to wear skinny jeans and look different. And now, all those 90s things are back again. So I just feel like, as long as you tell the story you want to tell with the lens of the time that you're living in, young kids are interested.
Right. Okay, let's put that in context of probably Telugu cinema's most successful director today at a consistent level, which is Anil Ravipudi, right? I mean, of course, there are bigger directors like SSR now, but they make a movie once in 5 years or whatever. But as a consistently successful director, I would say Anil Ravipudi, right?
Yes.
How do you think his movies talk to generations?
I think that's the Manmohan Desai. Manmohan Desai sir, Anil Ravipudi sir, David Dhawan sir. They are people who are masters of tapping into people's broad emotions. And guys like that are always going to be successful. They'll always make blockbuster hits. So that's a different school, I feel. Like, exactly, like for my dad's time, Shola or Shabnam with Govinda was like the movie, So, like he showed that to me as an example. I'm like, So I just feel like, or my time with the same David Dhawan would be that Salman Khan Akshay Kumar film, Mujhse Shaadi Karogi. Like for me, that was hilarious and fun and amazing. But for today's time, it's Anil Ravipudi sir.
Yeah.
I just think that's so broad.
Emotions always work.
Yeah.
But what do you think? And you've spoken about this several times, but I want to dig a little into this. It's like, what do you think makes Telugu cinema? Because everybody looks at Telugu cinema as the spearhead of pan-Indian cinema, which is right. Because had the two Bahubali movies not happened, what we call pan-India cinema today, dubbed into various languages, that probably would not be where it is today.
Sure.
What do you think is special about this industry, even though the success rate keeps going up and down and certain intended to be pan-India films do not work and all that happens, but what's making the industry tick?
We don't have cultural considerations when we love cinema. I think that's our main thing.
Okay.
Like we don't believe a story should be told a certain way.
Okay.
We are okay with anything from anywhere. We'll make a Loka a success. We'll make a Hindi Animal a success. We'll make a Telugu Durandar a success. Like,
I heard that the Telugu Dhurandhar Part 2 is the biggest dubbed hit since Dangal.
Yeah.
That's somebody told me this.
See, that's exactly what I'm saying. Imagine I'm a Telugu guy from Rajahmundry. I'm watching a film set in Pakistan or in Punjab. Who do I even know but Liari? You know. So at the end of the day, I think we love good stories, and I think that's not. It's the greatness of the audience, but it's also what filmmakers curate for the audience. Like you get people used to something. If I'm going to get the audience only used to Bandi Chinese, the day you suddenly feel them gourmet food, they're going to feel like this doesn't feel right. So we as Telugu audiences, we've always watched stuff from everywhere. We have no commercial considerations, no cultural considerations. Now, I can't tell you the number of times when we were shooting Major, because that was my first Hindi foray. Bollywood mein aisa nahi hota hai, Sesh, was a term I would hear all the time.
Like, supposing you did something little larger than life or something like that?
No, it doesn't have to be. It just has to be something that they don't like. And when I say they, I don't mean them broadly. It would have been that person.
Yeah.
But they will use it in Bollywood mein aisa nahi hota. Or, you know, I think that's the nature of who Telugus are. Like, we will go anywhere. We'll allow anybody to come to us. And I say that with pride.
Right.
And people think, you know, bhasha mit garvam ledra. It's not that. I think we love our language, we love our culture. But I think if you look at, out of any city in India, Hyderabad is probably the most easygoing of the cosmopolitan cities. You'll not have a particular, hey, you, us happening in Hyderabad.
That's what keeps the industry ticking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And why does this industry consistently make the biggest budgeted films? How is that happening?
Because we didn't let the studio system come into us.
Okay.
And it wasn't by choice. It's not like we are super smart and we decided that. It was just like, okay, so this happened during Major, and I was having an argument with an employee at Sony, and I was just going, why don't you understand? Why don't you understand that this project, his parents, Sandeep sir's parents, this and that, I'm just going on and on about it. And he suddenly goes, because Sesh, it doesn't change my life even if this movie is a hit. And he just kind of broke down, and he just suddenly said, and he suddenly stopped. I said, that's when I realized, it's like, yaar, picture hit hogi to shayad chota sa bonus milega, my salary remains the same. Oh. So a Telugu producer who comes from the village, or comes from the US, or comes from Australia, or is a Hyderabad real estate guy, he put one project on hold, took his money from mining or from real estate or from IT company or whatever, and he put it there and he said, this is my money. I'm emotionally invested in making a profit.
Right.
And getting my name out there as somebody who was a patron of good cinema. These are the two requirements for Telugu producers. That requirement isn't there for the other guy. Because he said he's working for his salary. And that is fundamentally the reason why Telugu cinema takes bigger risks. We fall harder as well. But we have the biggest hits for that reason.
Because of, can I use that often used word, passion?
No, passion is everywhere, Baba. Like
right.
when I go to Bombay, the kind of filmmakers and actors I meet, the best of the country is there because you're coming from all cultures into one place.
Yeah.
More so than here. Because cultures from Assam, Kashmir, Tamil Nadu. I was speaking to the paparazzi there, half of them are Telugu.
Yeah. In Bombay.
Yeah. So, but I think the difference is that the studio system never came into Telugu. They just couldn't crack it. And that ended up keeping that 90s Hindi producer thing alive for us here. In the 90s, it would just be some guy from Chembur producing a movie. And he would have his farm in Punjab that he probably mortgaged at the bank. And
so once people started seeing the bottom line, or if they begin seeing the bottom line about everything, then filmmaking becomes a little problematic, you think?
If your focus on the bottom line is to ensures your personal well-being, then you're automatically more passionate and invested in the film. And if it doesn't change your life much because it's a salary, you're less invested. That's what the reason is. That's been my learning.
So you are making Dacoit because you believe in the project.
Absolutely.
And it's not just a I want a hit kind of situation.
No.
Okay.
No. I spent 1.5 years writing. Why did I spend so much time writing Mrunal's character? Now, see, the thing is, you try. I'm not saying that every time I'll succeed.
Yeah.
I might fail, I might lose a lot of money.
No, the trial is what's important.
Yeah, but the attempt, it has to come from a place of pure honesty. And there's nothing other than we want to tell a great story in the most interesting way. And I love that despite it being backed by Annapurna Studios and all, it's still a personal investment from a producer.
Right.
You know, like Supriya Garu and Sunil Naran Garu.
When you say this, and when you also say that we also fall hard, why do those, of late, we've been seeing a lot of, it's been happening in Tamil, it's been happening in Telugu. I take these two industries because these are the big, commercial film industries, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Many of the bigger stars, their movies have not been guaranteeing this. Earlier, it used to be like at least 3 days you'd have a house full of shows or whatever it is. That's not been happening as much. Do you think it's just a phase where they're not choosing the right films, or?
There's always cycles, Baddy.
Okay.
When I first came to the movie business, people were saying, dude, films are dying. Piracy's ravaged us. You get a VCD before the matinee show starts, after the morning show.
That's still happening, right?
No, this was when I first moved to India.
Okay.
VCDs were the rage. And you get the VCD, or then you get it on MP4 drives, that MP3, MP4 drives.
Or Telegram.
Yeah, then.
Yeah.
Now it's Telegram. And there was no digital then. So, and satellite was dying. So people are like, "Arey, films are dying, films are dying." And then Bahubali happened. And then film rose. And if you look at 2018, I was part of that extraordinary cultural time where 16 I had Kshanam, 18 I had Gudachari, 19 I had Yavaru. Like that golden period directly happening because Bahubali went so massive. 16 to 20 was a golden period in Telugu cinema where so many kinds of beautiful films. Everything from, can you imagine an Aravind Sameta, a Mahanati, a Gudachari, a Sheila So, a Brocheva Revarura, all in the same year?
Yeah.
Like, look at that quality. So, and any other year, Gudachari would have won some big award, but how do you go up against Mahanati? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that cycle always happens. And we had a lovely boom in 22. Telugu had a boom where suddenly RRR happened. Our own major happened. We had lovely, big blockbusters. Like KGF 2 was a huge hit even in Telugu.
Yeah.
Like on par, if not bigger than other industries. So I just feel like that dip and thing is true for anybody. And now, for example, Hindi, like my friend Aditya, he directed Dhurandhar. And
Yeah. What do you think of the film?
I loved part 1. I haven't seen part 2
Right.
because I've been busy with Dacoit.
Yeah.
I loved part 1.
Yeah, and I think any film that creates that kind of ripple in the cultural consciousness,
Yeah.
there's something happening there.
100%.
There's otherwise you get hits all the time, but something that genuinely
Changes culture.
yeah,
Absolutely.
or
Absolutely.
kind of a thing. I think that kind of a thing.
Absolutely. No, that's a once in a generation thing. That's the Shivas, the Sholays, the Durandars. That's a once in a generation. The Bahubalis.
In 2016 to 20, you said was a golden phase for Telugu cinema.
I think so, yeah. Care of Kancharpalam also in 18. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and it's such a lovely film.
Yeah.
I wish Venkatesh Maha makes more movies. But in 2015, you said in an interview that your dream role was to play Karna.
It is.
It still is?
It is, but there's so many, you wonder, does the audience, is there an exhaustion of watching sort of these like epics of warriors? And then there's someone like the mighty Prabhas Garu who played Karna in Kalki. So there's all these things that come
It's
into
an
play.
interpretative Karna, right? Not
100%.
Yeah.
But I, as an 18-year-old kid in the theatre, I just saw Karna. I only heard about Karna from my grandmother.
Yeah.
For me, Karna is, my latest representation of Karna is this.
You're
Just-
talking about Prabhas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for my dad, it would have been NTR.
Danavira Sulu Karna. Yeah.
So it's just like NTR Garu Appatlo. And for the average 19-year-old today, it would have been, my reference for Karna is Prabhas Garu in Kalki.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful on how you do these things. Audience expectations, our suitability for a role, all these things matter a lot. And something I might not have known in 2015 that I know today due to maturity and wisdom, what is the climate for the idea? That matters a lot.
And that, what does it mean?
Like, when I was a kid in the States, 9/11 happened. And when I was a kid in the States, 26/11 happened. Now, right after 9/11, if I come up with an idea of how, two friends, one guy's an American guy and one guy's from the Middle East and they're the best of friends, and if I release it a month after 9/11, an American audience is going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They're not going to receive it well. So the climate for an idea also matters.
Okay.
Because again, you're watching it from the context of that time.
And why is the climate not right for let's say, a Karna from Adivi Sesh?
I don't know. I feel like everybody's making a film about warriors and gods. And
They
so
are.
I suddenly pivoted towards love stories. I've always been the guy who doesn't like to follow. We've been very honest about saying Dacoit, oka prema ka tha. Dacoit, ek prem ka tha. Because that is the actual full title. Even in the registered title, it's Dacoit, oka prema ka tha. Because when everybody was doing love stories, I did thrillers. And now when everybody is doing these sort of larger than life savior films, I'm interested in love stories because I feel like you wanna tell something that others aren't.
I think there's a value in that, because when I go to an Adivi Sesh movie, I have that fundamental thing that I have when I want to watch a movie, which is I'm curious to see what this is going to be. I may end up liking it. Movie may not end up working for me, but I'm curious to see what this guy is doing.
What is the attempt?
What is the attempt?
Yeah.
And I think that is, you're right, because when I see a lot of the trailers of these big movies, they seem like any frame could fit into any other film, like very generically going into one another.
No, I mean, not necessarily. There's a lot of them that I quite love. For me, they don't necessarily fit into each other. That's not my problem. But I feel like when everybody was telling love stories, I did Kshanam. And that was the only way I could stand out at that time. Because people didn't know me, I wasn't a brand, and I had to do something that absolutely is different, something that nobody's seeing.
Yeah.
And I think people haven't told a cowboy film and a love story told in a cowboy film in recent times. And it's Dacoit, for all practical purposes, a cowboy film without the hats, And it's a Western, it's a neo-Western. And without the horses. It's a neo-Western. It's got cars, it's got guns, but it's got all that landscape. But imagine telling a love story in that.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me. Like, it's not something people are doing regularly. And I was also quite inspired by Galisinu in Gamyam. Naresh Garu played that. And, I thought, I love that he's a massy person, but he doesn't have build-ups.
Yeah.
So I didn't take anything from Galisinu's character for Dacoit, but I chose that idea that Hari shouldn't be walking around with build-ups.
Right.
Hari is my character.
Your character.
In Dacoit. So when he comes, he's Dildar, he's open, but he's not walking in slow-mo like, dun, 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 dun. He just comes and he says one-liner that is absolutely brazen and funny and angry or whatever it may be, whatever the scene may be.
Looks interesting. All the best.
Thank you.
Your films are always, like I said, I'm very curious to see where you're going to go with Gurachari 2. Are you going to build it like just another franchise entry, or are you going to have some surprise elements? So fingers crossed and all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mritu towels from Ramraj, premium cotton and bamboo towels. Super soft, super absorbent.
டார்லிங் ஏசி திருவிழா இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் ஏசி.
Let's go holidays. Travel beyond boundaries.